Iglesias, Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, together with my group mates, Mr. June Michael Flores and Ms. Leah Kim Godoy. We are here to discuss about the Phase 2 topic under Program of Planning in Primary School Children. Here's Mr. June Michael Flores to review of developmental characteristics.
So these are the developmental characteristics under the planning primary school children. So first, physical development. The rapid growth starts of the preschool period. During middle childhood, children grow much more slowly. The next rapid changes does not take place until the approach of adolescence. So this stage where the child undergoes so many different changes, physically, emotionally, and cognitively. The physical growth of primary schoolers caused by the different factors, which natural and environmental. So what are the physical development of primary schoolers? The physical development involves many different factors, namely the height, weight, appearance, the visual, the hearing, and the motor abilities. So physical growth during the primary school years is slow but steady. During this stage, physical development involves having good muscle control and coordination, develop eye-hand condition, having good personal hygiene, being aware of good safety habits, physical development of primary schooler in height and weight. In this development stage, children will have started their elementary grades, specifically the primary years. This is period of gradual and steady growth will give to get used the change in their bodies. So the second one is language. During the preschool years, children vocabulary, grammar, and pragmatic language skill develop rapidly. By the time they reach middle childhood, they are ready to use language in new ways. So most of children's speech is clearly by the age of 6, a big milestone in the child development stage. Age 6 to 12, and they will probably start asking you about the meaning of different words. Between the age of 7 and 8, their vocabulary will double and they will often copy what you're saying. So expect to hear your child saying, "My mommy, my daddy say," when talking to friends, and don't say anything in front of your child that you wouldn't want them to repeat. They enjoy experimentally with words and use them as a subject of jokes, changing words around the play with ambiguity of words, or they learn to express feeling and resolve conflicts through discussion. So next is thinking. Children's thinking abilities change dramatically during the period between 5 and 7. They have good memory for concrete ideas and can remember facts and events. So children at age 6 to 12 years old develop the ability to think in concrete ways. These are called concrete because they're done around objects and events. This includes knowing how to combine, add, separate, subtract, or divide, and usually develop their thinking abilities. They also develop their memorization of some facts and concrete idea. For example, one of the Filipino tradition that parents always taught to their children is using po and opo while talking to older people. They always remember when parents always remind their child about it. So next is independence. Middle childhood bring about children greater independence from their families. They spend a lot of portion of their day outside the home, either at the school in childcare, playing in neighborhood parks, or on the street. In doing so, they broaden their horizon, meeting new people and new ways of life. So a student usually wants to become independent from their family, but not at all time. As I experienced being teenager, I say that being independent as a person is not easy. It is hard in way of decisioning without the opinion of my parents, if it is good or not. The main reason why teenager wants to be an independent person because of they want to broaden their horizon, meeting new people and new ways of life. So the next is peers. Friends are extremely important to school age children, although they still depend on parents for some kinds of support. They begin to rely more heavily on their peers. So a student must have a circle of true friends. In what way they rely on they are having a problem and having each other when times get hard, they also develop their emotion. It is important for our children to have a friends because it may result on how they socialize in other people. Having a friend also helps to develop their trust on other people. So the next is skills. Erik Erikson calls middle childhood the stage of industry versus inferiority. During this period, children acquire the skills they will need as an adult in their particular environment or culture. So, children between 6 and 12 years old will begin valuing friendship and become more involved in activities like sports and or painting. By this time, children can dress themselves, catch a ball, or more easily using only their hands and tie their shoes. Having independence from family become more important now. Even such as starting school bring children this age into regular contact with larger words. Friendship become more and more important. So need to learn practical everyday skills, how to use tools, how to build and repair objects, how to cook and how to care for babies or animals. And children also need to develop social skills such as helping, cooperating, negotiating, and talking to others to resolve problems. So the last is the self-esteem. The most important key to success and happiness is a positive self-concept. As children pass the preschool period, they begin to develop theories about who they are. This idea changes based on a combination of past experience, the opinion of others, and as yet untested assumption about themselves. So children must develop their self-esteem. This way, discover that success and happiness is a positive self-concept. Being valuable and perceived to ourselves, we can develop our self-esteem. It is based on our beliefs about characteristics as a person. Being self-confident and boost the positive mindset that the result on being self-esteem.
And for the Phase 2 topic under Program of Planning in Primary School Children, I am here to discuss the characteristics of a developmentally appropriate program of primary school and after-school enrichment programs. What does DAP stands for? DAP is all we known as Developmentally Appropriate Practices. This is the early learning standards and practices in early childhood. DAP focuses on making sure that educators provide opportunities to learn that are right for the age of the students. A good DAP educator focuses on knowing about child development and learning, knowing what's appropriate for each individual student, and knowing what's culturally appropriate for them. The National Association for the Education of Young Children, or NAEYC, has developed guidelines for appropriate practices in the primary grades. They stated that appropriate practices should be designed to develop children's knowledge and skills in all developmental areas, such as physical, social, emotional, and cognitive. Designed to develop children's self-esteem, sense of competence, and positive feelings towards learning, and responsive to individual difference in ability and interest. Now moving forward, DAP is informed by 3 areas of knowledge that are critical components in making good decisions for children. Here are the following 3 areas of knowledge in DAP. Number 1, child development appropriateness. Number 2, individual appropriateness. And number 3, social and cultural appropriateness. Child development appropriateness. This refers to knowledge of universal, predictable growth and changes in all children. Child development follows general, sequential patterns and is interrelated across domains, the cognitive, physical, social, and emotional domain. One example is that all children go through predictable changes in their motor skills, and during middle childhood, children strive to achieve independence. So we have to know and understand the milestones and sequences of development in all domains, and use child development information for planning and identifying activities, environments, experiences, and strategies to best promote growth and learning. Individual appropriateness. Each child is an individual and develops in her own unique way. Know each child's strengths, abilities, needs, challenges, interests, temperament, and approaches to learning. Also, we have to know their individual skills, ideas, and joys. This can be done through time spent together like conversations. Children may vary in their ability to think through problems logically. One child may be able to resolve a problem by imagining the solution, while other is still dependent upon concrete objects. Social and cultural appropriateness. Ensure that the experiences you provide respect these and are meaningful for each child and family. What makes sense to children is their own culture, and teacher must consider this, along with overall child development and learning program. All children are of culture. Know each child's cultural and family background, his unique family, values, language, lifestyle, and beliefs. A developmentally appropriate program must address these components in order to meet the needs of all children. And in doing that, let us first review the essential guidelines for the effective teaching in DepEd. Knowledge focuses on these 5 key areas of early learning practices. Number 1, creating a caring community of learners. Number 2, teaching to enhance development and learning. Number 3, planning curriculum to achieve important goals. Number 4, assessing children's development and learning. And number 5, establishing reciprocal relationships with families. Let us study these one by one. Number 1, creating a caring community of learners. Build positive and responsive relationships between children, staff, and families, both among groups and within the program, to create a community that supports all children as they develop and learn to their capacity in all domains. This includes making the classroom a safe space for children to express themselves, ask questions, and try out ideas. Number 2, teaching to enhance development and learning. Provide a balance of teacher-directed and child-initiated activities and plan experiences that meet individual needs, interests, and learning goals. This includes acknowledging the students' strengths and challenges in helping to support them. Number 3, planning curriculum to achieve important goals. Develop a written curriculum that reflects developmental milestones and appropriate early learning goals for children, and that supports individualized learning. To do this, a teacher will likely to create a curriculum by thinking about the end result first. Number 1, what does a teacher want to her or his students to accomplish? Number 2, once you finally think about it, a teacher can plan everything that comes before it and how to get his students to that goal. Number 3, translate. Example, me as a teacher. I will think about what do I want my student to accomplish for their learning. And number 4, once I finally think about it, I can now plan everything that comes before it and how to get my students to that goal. Number 4, assessing children's development and learning. Link assessment to curriculum, early learning standards, and use authentic assessment methods to measure a child's progress. Throughout the semester, a teacher will want to observe, talk to, and look at the work of each student to see how they're moving forward and where they need additional help. Lastly, number 5, establishing reciprocal relationships with families. Work in partnership with families to learn about each child, to develop two-way communication, and to establish supportive relationships with all families. A teacher will want to get students' family involved in learning process for the best outcomes. So those are the 5 essential guidelines for the effective teaching in DepEd. Primary grade children benefit from concrete hands-on experiences. They need to see and make connections, especially across subjects. We need an integrated curriculum that only fosters connections between concepts and areas of learning, but also makes learning fun. So let's see what DAP in early primary grade school looks like. This is a sample lesson activity in grade 2 students in science subject. Learning about spider in the classroom. The second graders sit in a circle, wonderingly watching their teacher pick up a spider. The teacher explains that the class will be hosting the new pet for several weeks. She takes the spider, giving each child a chance to have a good look. Then the teacher asks, "Okay, what questions do we have?" The teacher then can write down all the questions asked by the students and try to find the answer soon. The teacher says, "Maybe we can find the answer to all our questions if we study our new pet." The children then have a lot of questions and over the next few days as they observe the spider. Questions can be, is the spider happy in the cage? Is he sad because he's alone? How does the spider eat? Or maybe watching a spider tailoring his web, making his house his nest. And so coming up even more questions along the observation. Intrigued, the class eagerly undertakes the new research project. So that is one example on how DAP or Developmental Appropriate Program approaches our primary schooler. It's good practice for early grade teachers to set aside time blocks for a specific skill and concept study. So having time to focus helps children learn. So given the time to apply what they've learned, then we can give them the need of explanation, illustrative information, direct instruction on new concept, word or event, and opportunities to practice a new skill. After-school activities, also known as after-school programs or after-school care, started in the early 1900s, mainly just as supervision of students after the final school bell. After-school programs are defined as safe, structured activities that gather regularly in the hours after school and offers activities to help children learn new skills and develop into responsible adults. And today, after-school programs do much more. There is a focus on helping students with schoolwork but can be beneficial to students in other ways. Activities may cover topics such as adventure. You can have fun and play, and playing independently. Arts, abstract painting or drawing. Math, practice the speed of math, facts or computation. Science, like ice experiment. Music, like singing nursery rhyme. Reading, story time. Sports, like biking, skating, or swimming. Environmental activities like tree planting and outreach program like planning to visit grandmas and grandpas in Home for the Aged on a Valentine's Day. Enrichment activity. Enrichment activities break the barriers of circular structures and government mandates. These activities allow students to design, create, and learn without limits. An enrichment activity is an experience where kids can extend their learning to improve or enhance skills, knowledge, and well-being. After-school enrichment activity. You can have acting lesson, modeling lesson, singing lesson, dancing lesson, karate or taekwondo, or enroll to a foreign language like Mandarin or Spanish. At-home enrichment activity. Build with Lego, board games, computer and online games, DIY arts and crafts, puzzle games, Play-Doh, and of course, play. Play promotes joyful learning that fosters self-regulation, language, cognitive, and social competencies as well as content knowledge across disciplines. That's why play is important in developmentally appropriate program because play is essential for all children, even for all of us. Lastly, Ms. Leah Kim Godoy will discuss about the maintaining program of quality of local and international standards.
So first, we have the maintaining program quality. We have the local and international standard, and the first one is the DepEd ECCD. So the DepEd ECCD is the Early Childhood Care and Development Council. Is a government agency mandated by Republic Act 10410 or the Early Years Act of 2013 to act as the primary agency supporting the government's ECCD programs that covers health, nutrition, early education, and social services for children ages 0 to 4 years old. So DepEd ECCD provides training for teachers and for the other staff that will provide a quality program for students in early childhood education. So ECCD trainings, the ECCD Council committed to its mandate of implementing the ECCD system ensures the partnership and establishment of the NCDC is continuous through the provision of human resource development programs to ECCD service providers. The Council designed these HRD programs or the human resource development to facilitate the LGU's adoption and replication of strategies in capacitating ECCD service providers in the provision of quality ECCD programs and services. So for the first program, we have the induction program. So the induction program designed to orient the ECCD service providers to current developments on early childhood care and development. The National ECCD System and its enabling law, RA 10410, furthermore through this program, a local ECCD committee, which includes the mayor, municipal social welfare and development officer, MHO, barangay captain, among others, where the NCDC is located, will be created, strengthened, or reactivated. The induction program has evolved from an orientation to a capacity development program to provide skills and competency training of ECCD service providers. So first, the target beneficiaries are ECCD supervisors and ECCD service providers like the mayors, the municipal social welfare and development officer, MHO, barangay captains, child development workers or the teachers, barangay nutrition scholars, and also the barangay health workers. So the training delivery will be face-to-face with transportation counterpart from participating LGU or online sessions with accompanying modules provided by the ECCD Council. So for the second program, we have the Leading and Managing an Integrated ECCD Program or LMIEP. So initiated to capacitate local ECCD supervisors in terms of planning, supervising, monitoring, and evaluating evidence-based ECCD programs. It is delivered through partnership with state universities and colleges and is designed to equip participants with 12 graduate units in a management course or other related fields. So local ECCD supervisors who undergo this program are expected to gain a broader perspective on ECCD work context, local policies, and administrative practices. So they have the target beneficiaries. The target beneficiaries are the local social welfare and development officer or the LSWDO or the ECCD focal person of the LGU. And then the training delivery will be three-phase program delivered through number 1, blended learning approach, utilizing face-to-face and online session, or purely online with modules provided by the state, university, and colleges. So for the next program, it's the integration program for new child development teachers. So it serves as the primary pre-service training program for newly hired child development teachers or CDTs. In newly established NCDCs nationwide, this program is designed to equip CDTs with essential knowledge, skills, and resources on ECCD service delivery. After the training, CDTs are expected to immediately carry out interim activities in the operationalization of the NCDC. So they have the target beneficiaries. The target beneficiaries upon the establishment of the NCDC, the mayor, through the MSWDO, recommends to ECCD Council a child development teacher or CDT designated or assigned to teach at the NCDC, preferably with the following qualifications. First is has an item or plantilla position in the LGU, who likes to teach 0 to 4-year-old children, or a child development worker, formerly known as a daycare worker, being considered for an item or plantilla position after the training. So has a bachelor's degree in elementary, secondary education, child study, early childhood education, or any field related to education. And the other qualification is in good physical and emotional condition with good moral character. So the next one is the training delivery. The training delivery will be 7 days in-person training or 9 weeks of online and modular approach. Then the next one, so Early Childhood Education Program or ECEP, a scholarship program granted by the ECCD Council to CDTs and CDWs from LGUs with the newly established NCDC. This is to ensure that ECCD service providers have a strong foundation in early childhood education. And so LGUs are able to deliver ECCD programs and services that are compliant to the national standards and guidelines in ECCD. This program aims to equip CDTs and CDWs with 18 masters for qualified participants or undergraduate for non-qualified participants, units in early childhood education through partner state universities and colleges. So they have this target beneficiaries. So first one is CDT, who is assigned to manage the NCDC and has completed the integration program. Then DWs from the centers identified for conversion as endorsed by the mayor through the MSWDO. And then the next one, the training delivery is dependent on the agreed delivery mode of ECCD Council and the partner state university or colleges. So for the end result, consistent with the ECCD Council's vision of ensuring that all children 0 to 4 years old are provided with quality ECCD programs, the establishment of the NCDC serves as an assistant to LGUs in widening access to developmentally appropriate programs. Capacitating and professionalizing ECCD service providers is vital in implementing quality programs. The goal of the partnership with the LGU is to ensure that after completing all HRD programs, the LGU should have a pool of resource persons who are able to advocate for ECCD programs and policies, as well as capacitate other ECCD service providers. This ensures that LGU is moving towards sustainability of quality ECCD program. So in NAEYC, or the National Association for the Education of Young Children, we have the grading of the quality of programs. One of the ways to upgrade the quality of program is through accreditation offered by the National Association for the Education of Young Children. In addition, teachers must become better trained and their salaries must be commensurate with their professional status. We will talk about here the accreditation of schools, accreditation of teachers and caregivers, increased pay for child care professionals, identifying child abuse for a better and safe environment for children. Under that, we have the cause of child abuse, recognition of child abuse, when to report abuse, abuse allegations at school, and the prevention. And also the personal policies, salary procedures, on-the-job safety, and the last one is posting employee information. So we have first the accreditation of school. So the NAEYC accreditation service is administered by the National Academy of Early Childhood Programs. Any group program serving children from birth through the elementary years can be accredited. The system is voluntary and it involves a three-step process: self-study by the director, teachers, and parents, validation visits by trained professionals, and an accreditation decision by a team of early childhood experts. So the self-study step is the critical element of the accreditation process. After paying a fee and receiving the accreditation manual, the directors, teachers, and parents rate the quality of the programs in 10 different categories. So upon the completion of the self-study, a final report is prepared and the results are reported to the academy. Academy personnel review the materials to determine whether the information is complete or whether further material is needed. So the categories of center operations that are covered by the accreditation process are the following. So interactions among staff and children, curriculum. The program implements a curriculum that is consistent with its goal for children and that promotes learning and development in each of the following areas, such as social, emotional, physical, language, and cognitive. And then the third one is staff-parent interactions. Then next one is staff qualifications and development. The program employs and supports the teaching and administrative staff that have the qualifications, knowledge, and professional commitment necessary to promote children's learning and development and to support families' diverse needs and interests. So the next one is administration. The program effectively implements policies, procedures, and systems that support stable staff and strong personnel, fiscal, and program management so all children, families, and staff have high-quality experiences. Next one is staffing patterns. Next one is physical environment. The program has a safe and healthful environment that provides appropriate and well-maintained indoor and outdoor physical environments. The environment includes facilities, equipment, and materials to facilitate child and staff learning and development. And the next one is health and safety. The program promotes the nutrition and health of children and protects children and staff from illness. Next is nutrition and food service. And then the next one is evaluation processes. So the next program is accreditation of teachers and caregivers. So upgrading the quality of programs can also come about through the credentialing of teachers and caregivers. The Child Development Associate Credential is a nationally recognized credential for early childhood personnel. It is based on the achievement of a series of competencies and is available to those who work in centers or in family daycare homes. The model curriculum designed by the Council for Early Childhood Professional Recognition contains a set of goals and a series of graduated experiences that lead to the achievement of those goals. The goals are: number 1, to establish and maintain a safe, healthy learning environment. 2, to advance physical and intellectual competence. 3, to support social and emotional development and provide guidance. 4, to establish positive and productive relationship with families. 5, to ensure a well-run, purposeful program responsive to participant needs. 6, to maintain a commitment to professionalism. Phase 1 is fieldwork in which the students participate in the daily activities of our program. They follow written materials prepared by the council that include readings and exercises that help the candidate build skills. So the next program is increased pay for child care professionals. So one of the ways to increase the quality of child care program is to have educated teachers who understand child development and know how to work with children in groups. Unfortunately, the pay level of the average caregiver is low. No director can run a high-quality program when there are constant need to find and retain staff. NAEYC has long been an advocate of well-trained and well-paid teacher. An editorial in Young Children, NAEYC 1997, lists 6 things a director can do to improve staff compensation and quality. So first is use your annual reporting budget as a working tool. Most decisions have a budgetary implications. Directors should learn to read line items in the budget, track expenses for each category. There are usually alternative spending choices that could increase the amount of money available for salaries. The second one is recognize that budget is policy. Be actively involved in the development of the annual budget. Third, get support from a financial analyst or business administrator when necessary. Fourth, polish your leadership and negotiating skills to effectively guide the budget development process. In order to guide others into making the kind of changes you want, you need to use your skills as a leader. Then the fifth one is don't forget strong human resources skills in working with staff. Leaders who are effective provide support to staff, but they also support autonomy and demand a high level of professionalism. And the last one is make sure your program offers a career lattice. So the next one is child abuse. Press coverage frequently highlights sensational cases of child abuse, both in child care centers and within families. But many more incidents go undetected or unreported. Those that occur in centers are sometimes the result of poor quality control. So prevention should be a primary concern of every director and can be achieved by choosing the very best staff members, planning training sessions, and adequately supervising all employees. It is the responsibility of the director to see that everything possible is done to prevent abuse in the child care setting and to inform staff of the laws pertaining to reporting. So we have several categories of abuse are recognized. So the first one is the physical abuse. A child is physically injured by other people than accidental means. For example, is burn, wherein burns in places that would not be expected as the result of accident. Example, buttocks, shoulder blades, abdomen. Second is linear marks. Wrap around marks made by a strap, belt, or electrical cord. Next is bruises. Multiple bruises with different colors indicating various stages of healing. Bruises on many parts of the body including the genitals. Next one is lacerations. So multiple wounds or locations of wounds is in unexpected places. Last one is the fractures. Any fracture in an infant under 12 months should be a suspect. One of the most important grounds for further investigation is when a child tells you, "My daddy hurt me," or "My mommy spanks me with a belt." Take what child says seriously. The next category of abuse is physical neglect. So failure to provide a child with adequate food, shelter, clothing, protection, supervision, and medical or dental care. It can be suspected when there are unsanitary conditions in the home or child care site, there is inadequate heat or there are potentially unsafe conditions, food is inadequate or not sufficiently nutritious, The child lacks proper clothing for the weather or clothing isn't clean. The child lacks proper medical or dental care. A young child is left at home or unsupervised for any period of time. So the next category of abuse is emotional abuse. Excessive verbal assaults, continuous negative responses, and constant family discord may add up to emotional abuse. These cases are extremely difficult to prove and to prosecute. Some of the signs of emotional abuse are the kinds of behavior you occasionally see in all children. The extent, the frequency, or the duration of the behavior should alert you. Abuse might be suspected if this behavior continues for a long time. So this is the signs of that they are emotional abuse. First one is the child is withdrawn, depressed, or apathetic. The child acts out or is often disruptive. The child is overly rigid, is afraid to misbehave, or fails to do what is expected. The child shows signs of emotional disturbance such as repetitive movements, lack of verbal or physical communication with others. And the next one is emotional deprivation. Deprivation suffered by children when their parents fail to supply normal experiences that help children to feel loved, wanted, and secured. So emotional deprivation is difficult to judge, but should be suspected if you see the following. So the first one is the child refuses to eat or eats very little. So the child is not able to do things that would be expected of the age level, walking, talking. The child may have exaggerated fears. The child is frequently aggressive or shows other antisocial behaviors. The child is abnormally withdrawn or sad or does not respond to others. The child constantly seeks attention from any adult, even strangers who come into the school. And then the next abuse is the sexual abuse and exploitation. Any sexual activity between an adult and child when the activity occurs between blood-related person. It is called incest. Included in sexual abuse is the use of children for making pornographic pictures or films. Sexual abuse can remain hidden for a long time. It should be suspected, though, if you see the following signs. First one is the child has bruising or inflammation of the anus or the genitals. Next is there is a discharge or blood in the child's underwear. The next one is the child has unusual interest and awareness of sexual activities. Sometimes young children play out sexual scenes in the dramatic play area. Next is the child is particularly seductive with adults, touching their breast or genitals. Next is the child seems fearful of an adult or is afraid to talk about that adult. The last one is the child is the victim of other kinds of abuse. So there are causes of child abuse. So although it is often believed that most child abusers are poor, uneducated, or emotionally disturbed, this is not true. Studies show that only 1 in 10 abusers can be classified as disturbed. Most abusers are not very different from any other parents. They love their children and want what is the best for them. But something happened to trigger abuse. So adults are more likely to abuse children when the following factors exist. So if they were abused as children themselves, if they are young, abuse is more often when the parents are under age 20. If they are isolated from others with few friends or nearby relatives. If they are victims or perpetrators of spouse abuse. If they use drugs or alcoholics. If they have experienced stress caused by family problems, divorce, loss of a job, and unwanted pregnancy. If they live in crowded conditions with little privacy. If they have low self-esteem. If they have difficulty controlling anger. If they have unrealistic expectations for children's behavior. How to recognize the abuse or recognition of abuse. So parents and early childhood professionals must learn to recognize the signs of abuse, because the idea of any kind of mistreatment of children is so repugnant. There is a tendency to overlook the indications, yet children say and do things that should warn us. Often though, it is only after abuse is finally recognized that we can look back and say, yes, I did see some things, but that made me wonder. You and your staff should be familiar with signs that may indicate a child has been physically, emotionally, or sexually abused. Parents' education programs should provide the same kinds of information to parents. So when to report abuse? Teachers and others who have close contact with children are in a unique position to see signs of abuse. Because of this, they are legally mandated to report suspected incidents. So how do you know when to report? Do not report every time you see some signs of disturbance in children. Many times that is normal transitory behavior. Do report when you have enough evidence to convince yourself that there is reasonable suspicion to warrant further investigation. Obviously, if there are signs that the child's life may be in danger, don't wait, report it immediately. When you see any signs of abuse that I discussed earlier, make a record, write down what you observed, what the child said, or what the parent said. If you see bruises, burns, or lacerations on a child, take a picture of them. Photographs can be taken without the parent's consent, as long as they are not used for any other purposes. If you are not sure, talk to other professionals. Teachers should talk to their directors. Directors can check with the teacher's observations. You can also call a child abuse agency or hotline in your area. When you are ready to report, telephone the local child protective services. Have to have the following information: the child's name, address, and age, where the child is at the present time, your observations, descriptions of injuries, information that led you to believe abuse has occurred, parent's name, address. If the child is in immediate danger, make that clear to the person to whom you are reporting. So, abuse allegations at school. You may be faced with having one of your staff members accused of abuse. Reports may come from parents or from other staff members. If the report first goes to the licensing agency, it will be referred to the police department. If the police department receives the first complaint, they will report to the licensing agency. The two agencies will work together to complete an investigation of the report. The staff member should receive appropriate legal representation before being interviewed by the police. Although no one is required to answer questions and encourage your staff to cooperate in his way. A quicker resolution to the problem can occur. So, in prevention, schools can play a vital role in the prevention of abuse. First, you can do a great deal to lessen the possibility of abuse by staff members by developing hiring procedures that carefully screen applicants. Most states require fingerprint check, checking the person's references carefully, planning and implementing in service, training for new employees, ongoing staff development for others. Next is adequately supervising staff, pairing new employees with experienced ones. Then, holding regular staff meetings to discuss problems with children and parents or among staff members. Then, developing clear personal policies regarding methods of disciplining children. Allowing staff members the means for alleviating fatigue and burnout, give adequate breaks, have reasonable staff or child ratios, pay adequate salaries, give positive reinforcement. So second, your school and your staff can be extremely effective in helping parents manage the stresses of parenthood that might lead to abuse. Some of the things that can be done to help parents are the following. So the first one is the school or child care center can become part of an extended family that provides support. Teachers and caregivers can educate parents about what to expect of children at different age levels. Teachers and caregivers can act as models to help parents find more effective ways of interacting with their children. Teachers and caregivers can provide an outlet for parents to express some of the frustrations involved in parenting. Teachers and caregivers can share with parents the joys of watching children grow and change. Then the third one is you can do a great deal to lessen the chances of misunderstanding that lead to accusations of abuse at school. In your work with parents, the following will be helpful. First is educate parents about child abuse, what causes it, and signs that may indicate abuse. Second is establish an open door policy in your school. Welcome parents' visits at any time without an appointment. Then the third one is share your school's discipline policies with parents. The fourth one is polish a caring relationship with parents. Listen to parents' concerns. Answer parents' questions. So, personnel policies. Good personnel policies are necessary to ensure the smooth operation of a school. In addition, personal procedures may be covered in some laws. Some areas that are covered by federal laws are Equal Pay Act of 1963 requires equal pay for men and women performing similar work. Then the Fair Labor Standards of Act of 1938 and 1972 amendment sets a minimum wage, equal pay, and record-keeping requirements. Then Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VII, amended in 1972, prohibits discrimination because of sex, race, color, religion, or national origin. Then the next one is Rehabilitation Act of 1973. Prohibits job discrimination because of a handicap. It further requires affirmative action to hire and advance handicapped workers. So in Vietnam era, Veterans Readjustment Assistance Act of 1974 prohibits job discrimination and requires affirmative action to hire and advance a qualified Vietnam veterans. So in Executive Orders 1124, 26, and 11375, an affirmative action program for all federal contractors and subcontractors whose contract exceeds $10,000. The Age Discrimination Act of 1967, amended in 1978, its discrimination against persons 40 to 70 years of age in hiring practices for any employment. And then the next one is salary procedures. Some laws require alphabet certain procedures related to employee salaries. So Federal Wage Garnishment Law restricts the amount of an employee's wage that may be deducted in any 1 week for garnishment procedures. Social Security Act of 1935 and Federal Insurance Contributions Act provides for retirement, disability, burial, and survivor benefits to eligible employees. And then the next one is federal income tax withholding requires the employer to collect employees' income tax and deposit it in a federal depository. And then the last one is on-the-job safety. Their law regulates any conditions that might affect the safety and health of employees. First one is the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970 requires employers to provide a safe place to work. Next one is most state requires employers to carry workers' compensation insurance to ensure workers will receive necessary medical care and be compensated for loss of income. And then the next one is posting employee information. Certain information must be posted in conspicuous places. used by employees. So, minimum wage and maximum hours, equal employment regulations, age discrimination laws, and when somebody of specified injuries and illnesses. So, as an end result, one way to upgrade the quality of programs is through accreditation, a process initiated by National Academy of Early Childhood Programs. The voluntary process consists of self-study, a visit by a professional team, and a written evaluation. Quality is also enhanced when teachers and caregivers have a knowledge to how to afford their children's development. The Council for Early Childhood Professional recognitions over a Child Development Associate. Credential to student who finish 3 PACE program graduated experiences takes students through